All right, all right, all right. We are graphing a line in different form. Today, our TEK is right linear equations. We're going to write linear equations. We're going to write them in two variables, x, y, in various forms. And here they are. We have my most favorite, y equals mx plus b. We have standard form, ax plus by equals c, also very helpful. And thirdly, we have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I like that one as well. Given 1 point and the slope, and if you're given 2 points. So we're going to do a lot today in these notes. Pay attention. The first thing I have to explain to you guys is slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b, one of the most popular forms we're going to talk about in Algebra 1. Notice I have the slope-intercept form here, and this is the function notation. So write that down, function notation. They both finish the same way, equals mx plus b, but one uses y and one uses function notation. All right. Please note that the letter M is a number that's called the slope. It's a number. You will see slope written as a fraction. So 2/3, -4. Those are two different slopes, up 2/3 and down 4/1. The slope tells you how to move from point to point on the graph. Okay, slope tells you how to move from point to point on the graph. And the b value, notice right here, the b value is my y-intercept. So the y-intercept is where you begin on the y-axis. It's your starting point. And all of this is going to feel a lot better once we actually do an example together. The main thing we need to know today is we're going to write equations of lines in multiple ways. The favoritist way is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So let's read our first example about the real world question. Each year, Juan's family buys a Christmas tree. Each of his brothers and sisters get to pick out an ornament at Hobby Lobby to hang on the tree. Here's the equation, y equals 2x plus 100. It represents the cost of the tree right here. Total cost is my y, plus $2 per ornament, and the number of ornaments is my x. So what we're going to do is we're going to graph this situation. It says the cost of the tree is $100. So with no ornaments, we are going to have a $100 total cost. And remember that the ornaments are $2 each. Notice the 2 is the x, $2. So one ornament is going to be $2 more. So 102 would be my total. 2 ornaments would be $104. 3 ornaments would be $106. 4 ornaments would be $108, so on and so forth. Since this data can be counted, ornaments can be counted. Remember, counting ornaments is discrete. If we're counting, it's discrete and we don't connect, right? Because it's discrete, and anything between the points doesn't make sense because we are not going to hang up an ornament that is not fully an ornament. We're not going to hang up a fragment of the ornament. All right, so those are your little tips to remember with discrete data. Ornaments can be counted, it's discrete, and don't connect. All right, so there's our real world example on what is our topic? Graphing a line. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. This is a skill you're going to use throughout high school and college. First of all, for this first example of actually graphing, you are given the equation in y equals mx plus b, which is slope-intercept form. So let's go over here and let's read our steps to success. Okay, how to graph a line. So first of all, number 1 says to graph the y-intercept. Okay, so I'm going to write y equals mx plus b. B is where the begins on the y-axis. Here is the y-axis. So notice my -6 lines up with my b. So b equals -6. I can also write my y-intercept with 0, -6. What that means is I'm going to go down here to the y-axis and put our first point at -6. So I always want to start with the y-axis called the y-intercept. From there, I'm going to use my rise over my run, which is called my slope. It's how I move. So the slope is the number next to the x. And in this case, it's 3/2. So I'm going to rise up and I'm going to run to the right 3 and 2 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and there's my next point. I just moved from point to point by rising up 3 and running 2 spaces. Now I'm going to repeat that process. Rise up 3, run 2, and then put your next stop. When you get good at this, you don't have to keep drawing these little steps. You'll just eyeball it and like, okay, that went up 3 and over 2. And then you can eyeball it again, and you're right here, and finally right there. And that will make this part of the line. And then we can go backwards. Instead of going up and to the right, we'll go down and to the left. So down 1, 2, 3, and to the left, that would be our last point. And there's the, oops, excuse me, not down 3/1. I thought that looked weird. Down 3/2. There we go. Now that lines up a lot better. Remember, this is my y-intercept. This is my slope going up 3 and over 2. And you have just graphed your very first line. Let's look at the next equation. Again, this equation is in y equals mx plus b form, where b is 1 and m is -3. So because b is 1, I'm going to put a point on the number 1 on the y-axis. Remember, I must do this on the y-axis. My slope is -3. Now that's not a fraction. Remember, I can write the number and divide it by 1 and still keep it equivalent to -3. Now, if I'm following -3/1's instructions, I will go down and to the right because a negative rise is rising down. So 1, 2, 3, and 1 to the right, and there we land. 1, 2, 3, and 1 to the right, and there we land. And now I'm going to do it without the little extra steps. Okay, so here is this part of the line. Now we're going to do the opposite directions. We're going to go up 3, and instead of going to the right, we're going to go to the left. So the negative needs to be on the 1 in this case. So up +3 means move up and over 1 to the left. Up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. And as I zoom out, I can now connect the remainder part of my line. Beautiful. You have just graphed the equation y equals -3x plus 1. Remember, since the slope is negative, it must be going down, and I do have a line going down. Okay, so here's the question. What if the line that we must graph isn't in slope-intercept form? Remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Well, the answer says we just change it using our algebra skills. Notice this equation is in standard form. They reminded us what standard form is here. And as my Cami needs to be reloaded for some reason. I will stop, take a drink, and allow Cami to catch back up to where we need to be in our notes. Standard form has ax plus by equals c. And our goal is to change standard form into slope-intercept form where y is by itself. So just like I did here, I'm going to box the y so that I know I must move the x term. So I'm going to look at this page here. It says simplify all parentheses if any, and there's not any parentheses. So there's not a step 1. All right, so our isolating, we're going to A, move the x term. So let's move our x term. Well, the opposite of 2x is minus 2x. And remember, if you're in my class, we don't ever minus a 2x underneath an 8 because those are not like terms because the x has an x and the 8 does not. Now I'm going to recopy negative 4y equals negative 8 minus the 2x. We're almost ready to graph it, but we still don't have y isolated. So now let's get a different color. B, step 2, which is B, is to divide by the coefficient. The coefficient of what? Of y. So I'm going to zoom back in. So the coefficient of y is the number next to y that's being multiplied, and the opposite of multiply is divide. So we'll divide it across both sides of the equation. We know that negative 4 divided by negative 4 is 1. If it's 1, we don't even write it. I know that negative 8 divided by negative 4 is a positive 2. I also know that a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and that reduces to 1/2 x. So that is my slope-intercept form. Now, in this case, my y-intercept is the number by itself, and 2 is the number by itself. My slope is my m, and m always sits next to x in the question. So 1/2 sits next to x. Slope is 1/2. Since it's positive, I need it to be going up. Our line will be going up, and I need to go up and to the right. Here we go. I'm going to start at positive 2, and I'm going to go up 1 and move to the right, up 1 and move to the right, up 1 and move to the right. And I'm just going to repeat that pattern till I fall off the page, fall off the graph. There it is. And now, instead of going up and to the right, I'm going to go down and to the left, down and to the left, down 1 and to the left, down 1 and to the left, down 1 and to the left 2, down 1 and to the left 2. So when I connect, now I have a solid complete line. We started with standard form, ax plus by equals c. I boxed the y, I moved the x term and divided by the coefficient of y. Here is an example of point slope form. Remember, point slope form used to look like this. Y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. And it looks like they already gave us a point. This and this make up the point x1, y1, and that's a comma in between because it's a point. Nonetheless, we don't need to know the point. We just need to simplify into y equals mx plus b form. So the first thing I'm going to do is step 1, simplify all parentheses. Yes, I need to do step 1. So 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. I have now simplified the parentheses. I can now rewrite y plus 2. And finally, I'm going to isolate y by subtracting 2. I'm going to subtract 2 here, And since it's a constant 2, I'm going to subtract 2 under the -3. Now I have y equals 3x, and -3 and a -2 make -5. I can box that now. And I now have my slope and my y-intercept. So my y-intercept is the b value. The b value is by itself. B by itself. So -5 is my b, which is by itself. And I will zoom in and put my first point at -5. My slope is my m. My m is married to x. My m is married to x. The number that's next to x is a 3. The m needs to be a fraction. I can put 3 over 1, and I didn't change anything because 3 over 1 is 3. So remember, when I'm graphing slope, I'm going to, positive means up and positive means to the right. So I'm going to go up 3 and over 1. So 1, 2, 3 and over 1. 1, 2, 3 and over 1. 1, 2, 3 and over 1. And you just keep going until you run off the graph. And now we can zoom out and connect. Now to get the bottom part of the line, I will go the opposite. Instead of 3 over 1, I'm going to go negative over negative. That would mean down and to the left. So we'll go down 3 and to the left. And then it'll just connect to that one extra point. So we have looked at point slope form. We have multiplied the parentheses and subtracted the constant to both sides, combine like terms. Subtract 2 and combine like terms. That's what we did right there. Okay, the last one is pretty hefty. What is the equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the point -4, 47 and +2, -16? So we need to do step 1 first because it's step 1. Find the slope given 2 points. Okay, find the slope. Let's go. Slope formula is y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1. All right, next I need to label these 2 points. Here's my x1 and my y1 and my x2 and my y2. So my y2 is -16. My formula says write a minus. And my y1 is 47. My x2 is +2. The formula says write a minus. And my x1 is a -4. So what's the answer to -16 minus 47? The answer would be -63. And I can verify that going to Desmos, typing in -16 minus 47, which is -63, and then 2 minus -4 is +6. And now what's -63 divided by 6? -63 divided by 6. Change that to a decimal or a fraction, and I want -21 over 2. So that equals -21 over 2. So -21 over 2 means it can't be B. -21 over 2 means it can't be D. So I have now used the slope formula. But Coach Hughes, what if I wanted to use Desmos and not the slope formula? Okay. -4, 47. Well, what I would have had to do is type in, I'm going to add a table. negative 2 comma 47. Let me verify that that's correct. Negative 4 comma 47. Okay, negative 4 comma 47. And 2 comma negative 16. 2 comma negative 16. Then I have my table with my 2 points. I could zoom out and I can see here's the 2 red dots. Counting the slope of that would be horrible. So then I'm going to look back at my notes and remember y equals mx, y1 squiggly mx1 plus b. Here is my equation. And notice it's giving me the entire equation. It's giving me the slope and the y-intercept. So I would just need to convert negative 10.5 to a decimal or to a fraction, and it would tell me it's negative 21/2. And I would already know the answer has a b value of 5 because I could click right here and zoom in on the b value. And it would say, oh yeah, the y-intercept is 5. We don't care about the x-intercept right now. We only care about the y-intercept. So in theory, using Desmos can combine step 1 and step 2. So oopsies, using Desmos, let me clear out that. Okay, so you would do y1 squiggle mx1 plus b. Now, a lot of you are going to say, Coach, why would we ever do this the long way if you can show us Desmos the easier, sophisticated way? And the answer is, you know, if you're not allowed to use a calculator, if you don't have a calculator at home, your computer battery died, and you have to do it all by hand, this is how you would do it by hand. It's ugly, but you could do it by hand. So I'm going to finish the remaining of this problem by hand. We already know the answer is C, but now I'm going to use slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. When I use slope-intercept form, I have to pick a point. I'm going to pick this point. It doesn't matter which point I pick, I just pick it. I'm going to also have to pick this slope, which is negative 21/2. What I'm going to do is use 2, negative 16. All right. I know that 2 is an x, and I know that negative 16 is a y. I will put negative 16 under y, and I will put 2 as the x. Now the m, I just figured out m. It was negative 21/2. And then I will find the b. Remember, the b is your y-intercept. And now I'm going to do the math. Negative 21 divided by 2 times 2. Magically, look what happens. It crosses the 2's out, and you get negative 21 plus b equals negative 16. I'm going to solve for b. I'm going to add 21. And negative 16 plus 21 is 5. B is 5. Again, we already figured that out. And that is how you would find it using the slope formula, y equals mx plus b. That concludes our lesson today. Your homework is finding the slope and the y-intercept from an equation. Remember, your slope, you may want to write this down, is your m. It's a number. And your y-intercept is your b. Slope can be positive or negative. Y-intercept can be positive or negative as well. You're going to do these 6 questions. You're going to graph 7 and 8. You're going to graph 9 and 10. And then you're going to withdraw. You're going to draw on the memory of number 11. This is back from Unit 1 packet. And this is back from Unit 2 packet. Go back in your packet and look if you forgot how to solve an equation or what the domain and range of a function is. All right, that's it. I am just going to stop sharing my screen. You guys enjoy the rest of your period in class or at home. Take care.